Adam Savage here in my cave with some Buster memorabilia from my personal collection. These are pieces, I like to call them chunks. These are the chunks of Buster. In my head, there's like this weird crash test dummy cannibalistic salsa called Chunks O' Buster. So I've got some chunks of Buster that I took with me from the production after all those years. And before I show them to you, because we're going to cover a really specific one, you should know the origin story of Buster, which is that we shot the pilots for MythBusters in the summer of 2002. The production company, Beyond Productions, spent 6 months editing them into the first 3 pilots of the show. And Discovery was setting our expectations when the show was about to go air. And they were like, you know, it may take us between 1 and 6 months to award a season, even if we're convinced we want it. Oh, you know, just be ready. It might take a little while. And the first episode went up, and I think they awarded a season within a few days. And at that point, Jamie and I had this conversation that, like, you know, we did all this testing that was like human analog testing. And I can't remember whose idea it was, but we realized, you know, a crash test dummy is kind of exactly what we need as a base platform for human analog testing. We can put sensors in it because it's built to take sensors. It's like already a platform that's ideal. But I was aware that they are an expensive bit of kit. I mean, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. These are very expensive bits of kit. And so I thought, if I'm going to get one, I'm going to get somebody to give me one. I probably want last year's model. I'm hesitating as I'm telling this because I'm not sure I thought it this clearly, but this was my thought process over time, was like maybe last year's model. So I found out that the current state of the art was called Hybrid 3 test dummies. And so I thought, well, there must be a Hybrid 2. So I started calling government agencies that had to do with traffic and vehicles and roads and infrastructure. And I kept asking who had crash test dummies. And I eventually found stuff. The reason I'm being cagey about who I called is because they made me promise I would never say who I called. I called an agency and they said, we have a Hybrid 2 dummy on the shelf. We are happy to send it to you, but you can never say who you got it from. And I want to tell you, I think I said this on the live stream just recently. 4 years later, Jamie and I were on a plane and Jamie sat next to the very person who authorized the crash test dummy. And that person denied right to my face that we had a phone conversation. And I was like, I got it. We're keeping the secret. Okay, good. But after all that time, and also, by the way, there were 2 Buster crash test dummies in the lifespan of MythBusters. And so the parts that I have are from both. This is, as regular watchers of the channel know, this is Buster's face. This is Leatherface. This is the horror show. He came off in one of the stories, and Carrie Byron did her amazing aesthetics, bringing him back from the dead and sewing his pieces together. Yeah, this is always going to be in my collection, along with, can you give me a hand? Along with Buster's hand. Now, this comes from the first Buster. This comes from the second one, which is a few years later, but I kept the right hand. This is also a piece of Buster. This is actually a bit of, I was wondering if I had a lav on, but I'm not wearing one. This is some protective bit of leather that went under the head and was part of the structure. They're very, very, very robust internal skeletons with all sorts of bolts and tightening and adjustments so that you can adjust the size. And it's really specifically so that they can put sensors in all of the extremities and really understand exactly how your position in the car and the car's position in the accident affected your movement and ways in which that can be mitigated. Crash testing is a totally amazing science. And handling crash test dummies only made me more amazed about the technology. But you clicked on the link because of the word but, and we're going to get there because this is Buster's ass. This is Buster's ass. And when the Grant Imahara Steam Foundation asked me if I would donate one of my pieces of Buster to benefit the Grant Imahara Steam Foundation, I said, absolutely. I'd like to I'm trying to figure out a joke that works in the phrase, get your ass handed to you, and I can't quite do it, so maybe someone else will workshop that. But this is Buster, the original first Buster's butt. And it actually shows off all of the construction properties of the crash test dummies. They weren't made to be perfect, what do you call it? Like physical analogs in the way that ballistic gel is in terms of how it receives a bullet. This isn't that. This is really just the soft outer cladding meant to protect the internal skeleton so that it can move as freely as a human body does. These pieces, these rubber pieces, all had really specific ways they went on in conjunction with the internal skeleton. I will be honest with you. I cannot remember which story Buster lost his ass on. And maybe she's going to be pissed at me that I should say this, but I think you should ask Carrie Byron. I mean, it's too much work for me to text her right now. But you ask her which story. I think it happened on their watch. I think it was Carrie, Tori, and Grant's story that Buster lost his ass on, but really, really can't remember. However, this incredible bit of MythBusters history can be yours because I am, in fact, donating this to the Grand Imahara Steam Foundation for their upcoming auction with Prop Store. We did this a couple of years ago and raised a ton of money to promote STEAM education among kids. It was one of Grant's singular missions, and he was really driven to do it. I'm so happy to be working with this organization, giving them my time and some of my MythBusters ephemera. There's a link in the description for the foundation, a link in the description for the auction, which is happening soon. And we're putting up a whole bunch of blueprints. There's a ton of wonderful MythBusters memorabilia going back on the auction block. So if you didn't get your blueprint last time, now is your chance, and you could get Buster's ass handed to you. There we go. I got the joke in. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and I will see you next time. This is Adam out. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for watching that video. Your support allows us to make more of this great content. If you'd like to help us on a deeper level, even head over to tested-store.com because we've got stickers. Who doesn't love stickers? Our anime-inspired Tested logo in Japanese. Follow the process, not the plan. It's not a process. It's not a problem to solve, it's a process to manage. Other aphorisms that have come from my mouth. And we have just made a full set of our demerit badges in sticker form. So you can cover your toolbox with all of your screw-ups and celebrate it with other makers. Thank you guys so much. See you next time.